Welcome in to the D2 Baseball Podcast. Robert Fry here, joined with a special guest in our series of following players who either have been drafted or signed to major league organizations. And today we have Adiel Melendez, a left-handed pitcher out of Montevallo, who ultimately became an undrafted free agent signing by the Atlanta Braves. And now he's currently, in the organization, getting his reps in. But Adiel, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Nice to meet you. Great to be here. No, it's been a great time. Obviously, this journey it's been a wild one for sure, from Montevallo all the way up to right now. I'll say that for sure.
Absolutely. And so I kind of want to get started there to the general public. A undrafted free agent is a little bit of a different type. What was kind of that experience like? Were you potentially going to be drafted, and then, things happen, and then, how does that work ultimately signing with the Braves?
So like you said, the UDFA, the undrafted free agency, it's a little different than just getting drafted. It's similar in a way where they, they're going to pick the guys that they want. And so it was, I'll say that there was interest. I thought I was going to get drafted. But I also knew that the draft is a crazy thing. You really can't predict anything, and you can't do anything like that. I knew that my slot, if I was going to go somewhere, it would be as what I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but a senior sign deal, which is basically where you go from the round 7 to 10 under slot value, things like that. And there's a lot of value in that, of course. But once that didn't happen, it kind of threw me off a little bit. But I always, I was prepared for, hey, they might not pick you, and I know that the undrafted free agency is a little bit more of a wild, wild west kind of thing, where you just gotta hope and pray that someone calls you at that point. And it could start anywhere between the end of the draft till we had a kid that signed the other day that just got here yesterday. So they were thinking, well, I got to go indie ball, or I got to hang it up, and then they call them a week after the draft, a week and a half after the draft. So UDFA is a little bit more, gotta have a little bit more faith in God.
Absolutely. And so, speaking of that faith, I know you had a lot of faith in your career at Montevallo. Talk a little bit about that, what that experience was like, to the fans, and just that experience in general.
Man, Montevallo will always hold a special place in my heart. Coach Rose, head coach Rose, Ivy and Rev, Coach Blake for the strength and training. It was a lot of good people around me. I'll say that. That's what I really wanted to, when I was leaving Alabama State, going into D2. I wanted a lot of good people around me, a lot of people who care about baseball, but also care about the person, and not just me. Like, I'm talking all 47 guys, and the way that they did things, man, it was special because, you know how it is. D2, it might not be as flashy as D1, but man, Coach Rose, truly, I got to give him all the props. We had a plan. I was there for 2 years. We had a plan starting those 2 years on how to get to this point, and all I had to do was trust it and put in the work. But I trusted in him. I trusted in that process. The guys, obviously the guys, my brothers, all 47 of them on both years. But yeah, no, it truly is it's gonna stay a special place for me. Montevallo's, our work ethic, I think, was the biggest thing that was different.
And yeah, you mentioned, starting your career at Alabama State, and you ultimately transferred to Montevallo for 2 years. Kind of, take us back 2 years in that point, and kind of what was that experience like? You're entering the portal at Alabama State, and then you're looking for opportunities, and then you come across Montevallo.
So I'll say Alabama State. It was a good time there. It just didn't work out. I had gotten Tommy John in May of 22, and then I also had ankle surgery in November of the same year, and so it was at that point where I'm like, I got to get healthy and then go somewhere new, have a new start, have a new fresh start. And the transfer portal, I know it's crazier even now, but the transfer portal is truly a stressful thing for all athletes, I'm sure, because you don't know where you're going to go. You don't know what's going to be a good fit. You just got to kind of trust your gut with whatever decision you're going to go with and hope it's the best one. So that experience alone was a little tough, but.
And so within that, now going into like the 2025 season, like at the beginning of the year, were you talked to at all about possibly going to the professional levels, or did it kind of like come about as the season went along?
No, there was already interest from a couple teams. I played in the Northwoods in the summer. And then I did pretty well there. Got all-star in the Northwoods, 3 ERA. Like I did what I had to do in order to gain some sort of interest. But it wasn't really until in the fall we had a pro scout day where we went to Sanford's pro scout day, and that's where it really started to kind of come off. Where there was multiple teams calling my coach and, hey, we're going to be at this game in the spring. We're going to be at this game in the spring. So it's kind of a year-long process where I already knew that there was interest starting the year. I just had to really show out that year to have that chance.
Yeah, and I mean, you sure did show out. You ended up the season with a 2.38 ERA, which is more than fantastic. But I want to talk about some like adversity and kind of interesting stuff. So like, we'll start conference tournament. Your first start against Delta State. Typically, you would think it was at Chocolaco Park, right? But due to weather, you pretty much play a very late night game at Jacksonville State. Kind of, what was that experience like, knowing you were getting the ball, but you just didn't know what time?
That was frustrating. Let me tell you, that was frustrating. So I graduated that morning. I traveled back to Montevallo. I think it was like an hour or 2 hours to graduate because of the rain delay that happened the day prior. We're supposed to play the day before. Half the teams had already played, so I was going to be without rest if we made it to the championship game, or whatever. But that was frustrating. Me and Drake, we were Delta State and Montevallo were both in the same cages, warming up in the same area, warming up, and so Drake and I were warming up right next to each other almost. And that was fun because you get to compete and see the other, the pitcher of the year for our conference. And he had obviously a great year, but man, it was frustrating because you're looking outside and it's still raining, and all right, when am I going to get the ball? When am I going to get the ball? And it turned out to be very late. And then for the I don't know if you know this, but the fog delays that happened, we didn't even get to finish the game. So that was a frustrating game. Man, there was so much emotion coming out on that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sitting there trying to follow along on the TV and just fog delay. And then, I got to the point where it's like 1 a.m. I'm like, I can't.
No, yeah,
just stay up anymore. I couldn't stay up anymore. And then and I mean, like that game became very intense towards the end, like the fly ball, the miscued fly ball and things like that, but y'all may win. But then, going even further, you come out on short rest against West Alabama in the championship. What was that experience like? Like telling coach, hey, I'm available. What was that experience like, being able to just have the opportunity to get the ball in short rest?
Oh man, that was truly a special day, but truly a special process, because you know how it is when you pitch and you throw so much. You the next day, the very next couple hours, you start your recovery. You're waiting for 1 week from now, and I knew, wait a minute, it's gonna be like 2 days if I get the ball, if we keep going. And so I did absolutely everything in my power to, like, the day after, the day before the championship game, all those things. I'm running, I'm doing all the recovery stuff with with the trainer and Coach Rose is, hey, are you going to be able to do it? And be honest with me, because if you're not, I'm not risking it, that kind of thing. So Coach Rose was very upfront with me. If I didn't feel comfortable, I wasn't going to throw. It wasn't one of those things, hey, you got the ball no matter what. It was, hey, you feeling all right? Then we'll go with it. And that's it. And so I really thought I was about to throw 3 innings. I really did. I was like, man, I probably got 50 pitches in me. Like I'm feeling, sore. I'm feeling all those things. But at the same time, I'm praying, and God, just take care of me. Just take care of me. I'm going to do this. And I decided to do it. It was a game time decision. Literally, it was a game time decision. I was throwing. I was like, hey, how you feeling? I'm like, I think I can go. But yeah, no, that was. I didn't know him up until that bullpen when they call your name, your starting pitcher, whatever. That's when I was like, I think I'm good. The adrenaline started kicking in. So, but yeah.
I mean, what a crazy experience. And ultimately, you ended up winning that game. You fall short in the title game, but just being able to have that opportunity to go and then put your guys into the if necessary game, I'm sure it played a big impact. And speaking of big impact, you mentioned, with Coach Rose, the impact he made, but just the overall coaching staff in general at Montevallo, what was their impact to help you to get to where you are today?
Well, I think with the coaching staff in general, they knew what each player needed to succeed. And for me specifically, Ivy and I, Coach Ivy, pitching coach, we worked a lot on the bullpens. We worked a lot on different things that, okay, what would help me throw more strikes? What would help me finish with 2 strikes? Not necessarily anything mechanical at that point in the season, because that's more in the fall. That's more when you're working on things. But Ivy was he helped me when I needed help. If I'm grooving, he'd try not to even tell me anything, but if I needed something, if he saw that I needed something, hey, all right, let's work on this. Let's do this. Hey, don't even think about this. There's different ways to help certain players out. But they were I think the biggest thing was more accountability and work ethic was, hey, do your responsibility today so that the day you come and play, you can produce at the level that you want to. I think that's the biggest thing. Coach Rose was always, hey, get your work in, whatever, even if it's a Monday and I throw on Friday, it's, hey, what do you need to do today to get better for Friday? That kind of thing. And they were on top of that, very disciplined.
And so with that, like, discipline and preparation, you had the opportunity to play against a lot of quality talent. Like the Gulf South Conference in general is great talent, but then, outside of conference, you played Tampa, you beat Tampa with you as the starter. You played a team like West Florida. How does the level of talent help you prepare for, where you are at today in terms of, just facing these kind of guys day in, day out?
It's very easy to work hard knowing that there's a goal, knowing that there's this day I face that team. It's very easy. It's made very easy to work extra hard, throw a little bit more, go a little heavier in the weight room when you have that kind of incentive of in the back of my mind, oh, Tampa's next week. Oh, Tampa's in 2 months, or West Florida's in a couple weeks. Hey, Delta State is coming up. Things like that. Valdosta State was another one where I was like, I'm going to be ready for them. West Alabama, obviously. So it's I would say it's very easy to be motivated when you have great teams almost every week to be at your A game, because I'm not going to go out there and suck in front of good teams. I'm not going to do that. And
so now kind of into the bit of the pro side before I ask the final question. Yeah. If anything, can you share about like your experiences so far in the Braves organization?
Well, I'll be careful with that because I'm not sure what I can and cannot say. But they take care of I don't know how it is with every minor league system, every farm system, but the Braves especially have done a fantastic job of making sure that we are taken care of. We don't have to cook. There's 3 meals a day, of all choices. Great choices. Let me say, it's not like a like school cafeteria. But they make sure you have your proteins, you have your carbs, you have your vegetables, your fruits, all the options. There's a nutritionist that comes in and says, all right, hey, let's work on this thing, let's keep it simple, let's do this. They they do everything based off of your high days, so bullpens and sides, game day, those kinds of things is your workout days. Those are your high intensity days. And then, we're following a chart of high intensity everything one day, low intensity the next, and help you recover. The training room staff has been absolutely awesome. And them taking care of us, whether as a first rounder or a UDFA, they do not care. They're going to take care of us just the same. So coming from the college side to the pro side, it's a world of difference. There's a lot more resources, for sure, but also a lot of great minds around that are just trying to help you in every facet of the game.
And you mentioned, the options, the opportunities, speaking on that, as a Division II player, what advice would you give to other Division II players to be able to get to, the opportunity to play professional baseball?
I say the advice that I would give, something that helped me a lot, was it doesn't matter what resources you do or do not have. Whether I have all the latest tech right now or nothing at all, it doesn't matter. That's where the excuses come in, and I didn't have this and I didn't have that to help. I would say if you truly want the goal to go into pro baseball, every day has to have you have to have some type of objective every day. And whether that's a rest day or not, whether that's a rest day or a hard day, you have to have purpose with every single day. Because if you let one go, if you let a day go, it's hard to get that back. And I'll say that discipline is the most important thing. I wasn't the most talented. I don't think I am, but I know that I've worked my off to get to this point. With that being said, it's discipline. It's going about your work, even if you don't want to do that work. That's the only way you get better. That's the only way. And to truly work hard, some people think that they're working hard when they're not. People got to reevaluate that, self-evaluate themselves. I think that's the biggest advice: is every day you have a purpose. It'll build up.
And it sure will build up. And speaking of building up, I sincerely hope that this build up continues into hopefully a long professional career and success for your Adiel. But thank you again for taking the time out to chat and talk about your experience with Montevallo, and now as part of the Atlanta Braves organization.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, my man.
Absolutely. And that is Adiel Melendez, left-handed pitcher from Montevallo, who was an undrafted free agent signing by the Atlanta Braves.